Hey, Tiffany here, and I just got done seeing the movie Primate. Now, I couldn't find, usually I try to take a photo of myself in front of the movie poster of whatever movie I'm seeing, but for some reason I couldn't find the Primate poster. But they did have like a poster of the old, I think, 1930s film King Kong in the movie theater. They do have some like old timey posters from movies from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, 20s in the movie theater where I go to, and so I was like, well, I'll just get one of the King Kong poster because it's kind of similar theme. But yes, I just saw the movie Primate, and I had been very curious about this film. I have been wanting to see it, and I'm going to get into it here in a little bit. But first, I do have to show you the candle that I am burning for today. And usually I will be burning candles for my book reviews, but this candle is called Horror Movie Marathon, and it smells like popcorn. So I figured, why not do it for my Primate review? And it's by Underworld Connections, and she unfortunately has retired from making candles. So I can't tell you to go buy the candle. However, I will serve this as a reminder for you to support your local independent artisans. Buy candles from those that, oh wow, look at that. It's kind of casting this really weird kind of orby glow. Look at that. Wow. Well, anyway, but to just go support your local artisans and buy some nice handmade candles for yourself from your favorite candle maker, whether they be local or somebody online that you like to support. Okay, so now into Primate. Okay, so when Primate opens up, we meet Lucy, the main character, and she's on her way home from college with two of her friends. And, they meet a couple of guys on the plane that her friend Hannah actually takes a liking to. But it's overall like the usual friendly banter. And they're going home from college, and they're all going to be spending the weekend at Lucy's house. And Lucy lives with her father and her younger sister. And they also live with another very special being that we will be getting to in just a moment. But Lucy and her friends, they arrive at her house. They arrive at her where she lives with her father and sister, and it is such a beautiful, beautiful place. They live in this like sprawling, they live in Hawaii, number one. And it's just like this beautiful, it's almost made to look like a house, like this like kind of jungle house almost. And it really kind of gives that, Hawaii and it's on a mountainside. So Hawaii mountainside kind of jungle vibes. Really, really cool, really beautiful place. And they have a very gorgeous view of the ocean from their swimming pool. I mean, it's a really, really nice place. And it's here when they get home, we are introduced to Ben, the family's chimpanzee. Now, when we first meet Ben, he is such a lovable sweetheart. He is definitely a member of the family. You can tell Lucy, her sister and dad, love Ben, and Ben loves them. And we do find out that Lucy's parents actually work in the field of having to do with animals and animals out being out in the wild. And her mother has passed away, but when her mother was alive, she was constructing different ways for primates and humans to be able to communicate with one another. And they had a couple of these devices in their home, and this is how they would communicate with Ben, and Ben would communicate with them. And she and their mother brought Ben home one time, and Ben actually became a member of the family from there. And he has his own little kind of sanctuary closed in. That they lock up at night, but they let him, other than that, roam freely, and they've never had a problem with it, and he has been a beloved member of their family, and and they introduce Ben to to Hannah. Hannah meets Ben for the first time, but Lucy's other friend, already knows Ben and knows of Ben, like her other couple of friends do. And but Hannah's at first a little put off by Ben, but then takes to him, and Ben, he gets along very well with everybody. So Lucy's dad is also an author, and he's pretty famous, and he has a major book signing that very weekend that Lucy brought her friends over to stay. And her dad is about to leave when he notices Ben acting a little bit peculiar. And he takes Ben back into his little sanctuary, and he finds actually it's actually that morning when he notices Ben acting a little bit odd. He notices like a dead mongoose in Ben's cage, and obviously Ben, wrestled with the mongoose and basically killed it, and then Ben also, but then he notices a bite on Ben's arm, and obviously Ben's kind of cowering and everything when Lucy's dad tries to kind of look at it. So Lucy's dad then and by the way, Lucy's dad can't hear, so he communicates through sign language, and everybody communicates with him through sign language, which is also, like I said, which definitely, as the events unfold in the film and we're experiencing things through his perspective, it really, it adds like a very intense contrast to it, but I'll get to that here in a bit. But he actually informs Lucy and her sister of the mongoose, and how it looks like it bit Ben, and they're going to have like one of the and he's going to have a family friend who's also a veterinarian who like deals with primates, come in and like take a look at Ben, maybe give him some medicine, and then he's going to send the mongoose to the lab to get it tested. And he does warn the girls to keep Ben like locked in his little sanctuary over there, at least until they know what's going on and they figure out what's going on. So they do, and they don't think too much of it from there. And their dad leaves to go on his to his book signing, and then they begin their weekend of fun. Now, while they're doing their whole weekend of fun, unbeknownst to them, the veterinarian shows up and tries to look at Ben. However, Ben unfortunately has started to change from the very lovable Ben that we meet into one that, after he was bitten by the mongoose, was unfortunately infested with rabies. Now, this is when everything takes a turn, and it goes from a weekend of fun with friends, a weekend when, hey, dad's out of the house, we can, have fun and do whatever we want, to a fight for survival. Now, my thoughts on Primate was that it was very intense, a very, very just intense film. And the contrast from, the very beginning of the film when they were a little bit more carefree, they had their, they had their little, their family member, their, chimpanzee Ben, who, loved everybody, and, everybody loved him. Just the contrast from that to when Ben is infected with rabies and unfortunately begins to unravel from there. And I had a really wide range of emotions watching this movie, because part of me like was hoping that, okay, maybe they'll maybe somehow they'll find a way to save Ben, and have everybody like kind of survive, or in one form or another, and you really feel, especially Lucy and her sister, you really just feel their conflict. They're grappling with the fact that, just trying to differentiate between the very lovable chimpanzee that they knew versus what currently is right now, and having to grapple with that, and having to face the possibility that, it's either him or them, and, facing that reality, and, facing what that might possibly mean. And they really, and it's not only just a fight for survival, but it's also just, just a fight for, just having this own inner battle within yourself. And it was really like you could feel that tension, and the way that that Ben was portrayed in the film, it was just because even like he almost seemed to grow in size as he became more rabid, and I'm sure that that was, I don't know if that was like supposed to be like a like something from, like their mind, like their perspective, like, oh, he was once this cute little, chimpanzee, that they would play with, and now he's this looming figure, just kind of waiting in the shadows, and you don't know what he's going to do next. And it was actually like very intense, and there was I experienced a very wide range of emotions watching this movie. And because like I said, on the one hand, you kind of hope that maybe by some miracle, Ben will go back to being the Ben that you met in the beginning of the movie, but then also understanding that that's very unlikely to be the case. But and then, like I said, when you're experiencing it from all the different perspectives, like especially when you're experiencing things from Lucy's dad's perspective, who can't hear, and and then it's like, and then they switch to his perspective and how he's experiencing things. It really does add to the tension, and just add to the eeriness of it all. And it was really, I thought the actors did such a good job with portraying all of these emotions. And you could see Lucy's inner battle with herself, and not wanting to believe that this was the chimpanzee that she loved, and the chimpanzee that her mother loved, the chimpanzee that her mother brought home. And I'm sure in some way Ben was kind of like a connection of the, of Lucy, her sister, and her father, Ben was still kind of like that connection to her mother. So you can, just see all that inner conflict there. And yeah, and it was very well done. And there is some gore and some jump scares in it, but like not in the same way that there would be in, say, a slasher movie. Just because sometimes like a slasher movie can seem, even if it is taking place in, the real world, if you will, even if it is kind of taking place in the real world, like, it still seems, it seems like there's still that separation there. Well, especially since the director actually drew from news articles of similar occurrences that he had read, certain tragedies that he had read about, and of certain similar things happening to people who have chimpanzees in their homes. And he was also very much inspired by Stephen King's Cujo, which is also a movie about a dog who ends up being infected with rabies and obviously changes. And I think a big emotional part of this movie is that it does speak to so much of, it does speak to so much of us on such like just this really vast level, simply because like so many of us have pets, so many of us, and we love our pets, but and it also though begs the question of when you're talking about an animal like a chimpanzee, is it really a good idea to try to domesticate them, especially an animal like that's traditionally supposed to be out in the wild? And but and it does kind of obviously it brings up that discussion too. But there's just so much that goes into this movie. And and I think because like say for instance when I was in watching the Black Phone movies, especially Black Phone 2, where there's more of a supernatural element, I mean, yes, it's creepy, it's scary, it's and you're kind of on the edge of your seat. But there's still that sense of fantasy there. There's still that sense of separation there. Even if you're like me and you believe in the supernatural, there's still that sense of separation there. Whereas I think in a situation like that, in like that type of a movie like Primate, it kind of hits closer to home. And I think that's what makes like the jump scares in it so intense, because it's not like a fun type of jump scare. It's like, it's a jump scare that's like, I mean, that's actually really terrifying and sad at the same time, because that was once, their beloved family member. And and same thing with like the gore. It wasn't like the gore in like I said, like a slasher type of film. The gore here, it was more like it was supposed to be a portrayal of okay, this is what can actually realistically happen in this situation. And the thing is, it's like the Ben chimpanzee, the Ben character, I guess you could say, is actually very tragic, because he goes from being this this lovable family member to it's like you don't even recognize him anymore, and all it takes is just something that really wasn't even his fault, but just that unfortunate event, and and he was changed, and the family was changed, and and like I said, and that might have that was probably still like kind of like a connection to their mother in a way. And it's so there's so much packed into this movie. But But yes, definitely intense. But I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed just the overall story, the overall story arc, and even some of the underlying messages that might have been in there too. Um, really enjoyed it. If I had to rate it a 5 out of 5, I would give it a 5. Just because the acting was great. I thought so, at least. And just the setting and the tension build up, and just the range of emotions that that I went through. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but that I went through watching this movie. But yeah, I would definitely recommend going to see it, and yeah, taking it in. So all right, but that was my review on Primate, and yeah, have you seen Primate? If so, what did you think of it? Do you share my views, or do you have kind of a different view on it? I'd love to hear it. So, all right, so that was this video, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications of when I post again. And again, thank you so much for watching. There's more to come here. And as always, please stay safe, but still stay spooky.